Holy cow, we're live. We're live. We'll do it live. Justin, you're like that Genesis song, I Can't Dance.
Oh, that's a different song.
That's a different song. That's in the air tonight. Yeah. That's a badass song, man. It's a badass song.
It is a badass song.
The best.
I heard it was about like somebody drowning and Phil Collins had a chance, or he saw somebody drowning and somebody else had a chance to save him and didn't, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I heard about that too. When I first heard it, I thought it was about a really stinky fart, but
I'll handle the jokes, Justin. All right, so all right,
like it.
We're off to a roaring start.
This is the first live show. Not doing great so far. All right, so let's talk about some football, shall we?
Yeah.
Are you ready for some football? All right, so all right, let's start with the Bucks. They got back on track. They beat the Eagles 33-16. Justin, why don't you start us off on your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, Baker Mayfield continues to shine and show us that he is not the draft bust everyone thought he was when he was in Cleveland. Eagles are looking rough. I don't know what the problem is there other than not having A.J. Brown, but it can't just be A.J. Brown if you're giving up 33 points to the Bucs offense. So they've got something to fix in Philadelphia, and it may come down to the coach.
Frankie, you have any thoughts on Bucks versus Eagles?
Yeah, I think on the Eagles front, I think Sirianni, it's either him or Doug Peterson right now for Jacksonville, who are in line to be the first coach fired. Because it's not just the thing that both of them have in common is that it's not just the start of this season. It goes all the way back to last year, the second half of last season. The Eagles have been collapsing ever since, what was it, that win against the Niners, I feel like? Or it wasn't the Niners, it was against the Bills, I think. And ever since then, it feels like they've just been collapsing. They haven't won many games. The Jalen Hurts, just stop turning the ball over, man. He's so talented. I just don't get why he keeps making these stupid mistakes. The defense has been exploited. We saw that with what Baker did. And credit to Baker, who just continues to impress and just show that there was no reason for the Browns to give up on him that easily. He just had one rough year with his shoulder, and they're like, all right, that's enough. But he's bounced back in a big way. It's been great to see. For Tampa, he looked excellent. And the Eagles, yeah, it's a real struggle right now, and it's hard to see how this team is going to – I know they're only 2-2, which is their only saving grace, but it's hard to see how this team is going to fight back with all the problems they have.
I'll tell you why I dislike the Eagles. It's because Aaron Boone is an Eagles fan. And in general, Aaron Boone is not my favorite. So I'm not an Eagles fan. All right, Vikings. They beat the Packers 31-29, real squeaker, one of the two undefeated teams left. Any thoughts on that one, Justin? How are we looking with the Minnesota Vikings?
Vikings are another example of why you don't give up on a quarterback with talent too early. Sam Darnold is still balling out. Now, this game was a little more interesting because the Vikings were up quite a bit for a while, and then Jordan Love just started going. Picking apart that Vikings defense that's been so good to start the year. I don't know if that says anything about Minnesota's chances going forward, if somebody's figured something out, or just Jordan Love was just playing out of his mind. But, they are the team to beat right now. They're up there with the Lions. And again, that division is killer, man. Like Lions, Vikings, Packers, and, Bears. Oh my. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a tough division to pull out.
Frankie, any thoughts on Vikings and their close win over the Packers?
I'll argue with Justin here. I'll agree with him, but a little bit slightly disagree with him on this front. The Vikings have shown that if you want to be a successful quarterback, don't go to the Jets, because Sam Darnold, he goes there and his career looks like it's a complete bust, and now he goes to Minnesota. He gets a great coach in Kevin O'Connell, and he's turned it around. And it was a squeaker, 31-29, but it was not that close. Minnesota, it was one where the score is not totally indicative of how the game was. Minnesota dominated that game for most of the way. Jordan Love, he probably shouldn't have been out there. I think they rushed him back a little too quickly, but he did in the second half start to loosen up a little bit, and he looked better, but it wasn't enough to overcome Minnesota's just dominance on offense. And it's just a wild sight to see that. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year, and this is why we love the NFL, we love the parity, we love the unpredictability of it, who would have thought that Minnesota would be one of the two undefeated teams along with the Chiefs. And it's crazy because the Vikings have played so much better than the Chiefs have. The Chiefs should not be 4-0, but Minnesota makes total sense why they're 4-0. And who would have thought that, again, at the beginning of the year? It's just a wild story, and I'm just incredibly impressed with Minnesota. Whether or not they're the best team in the NFC, I still don't know. I think I probably still give the edge to San Francisco on the grounds of just, they've been there before and they have the talent. But Minnesota's making a case for the second best team.
So Justin, do you agree with Frankie about the Chiefs? Do you think maybe the Chiefs have been a little bit lucky so far?
I mean, I said this before. They did the same thing last year where they were just winning games somehow, right? Piecing them together throughout the regular season, and then playoffs come around and they just they slip a switch. I don't know if they have that switch to flip this year because they are looking a little bit suspect. They're lucky they're playing in the division they're playing in because that's not going to be a tough one to win. But I do worry about their chances to go for 3. They're going to have to figure out something on offense. Rashid Rice went down with an injury. He might be out for the year. So if Xavier Worthy is not that guy, then they're going to need to maybe find somebody in a trade or off of the streets or something. But they're going to have to fix something quick. At least the defense is pretty solid.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Lions. They smoked the Seahawks. Jeff Goff, 18 for 18, so perfect passing percentage. And Frankie was telling me they did a flea flicker. I missed that? I love that's first of all, it's my favorite name of any play in sports, right behind the Hail Mary. But I used to run the flea flicker all the time in Tecmo Bowl with the Dolphins and Dan Marino and the Marx Brothers. But Frankie, any thoughts on Jeff Goff and the Lions?
Yeah, it's always great to see someone recreate the Philly special. So it was great seeing Goff there. And that weirdly cost Goff of having a perfect passer rating because he went 18 for 18. He should have a perfect passer rating, but apparently you need a certain percentage of your completions to be touchdowns. So if that was actually a touchdown to St. Brown, then he would have gotten it. He would have had the 158.3. Instead, he has like a 155.8. I don't understand math. But the bottom line is Detroit is an excellent team. I actually didn't feel that bad for Seattle in this game, or I didn't feel like this was a terrible loss for them because Geno balled out in this game, and the defense was missing a couple starters, and they were going up against a superior team, and it just wasn't meant to be for them. But Detroit looks great on offense, and yet just an amazing game from Goff. It's crazy to think that we've never seen this before in history of the NFL, 100-plus years. We've never seen a quarterback go 18 for 18. So a truly historic performance. It seems like no one in the Lions even knew that of the significance of the performance. Goff, after the game, wasn't aware that he had gone 18 for 18. Dan Campbell had found out in the post-game press conference, and he said, I would have given the game ball to somebody else if I had found out that he had gone 18 for 18. So it seems like no one else was aware of the significance of what happened. But credit to Detroit, just an excellent performance on Monday Night Football.
I think I said Jeff Goff. That's the name of the guy from Hamilton, the musical, the actor, where it's actually Jared Goff. So thanks to Like Clockwork for calling me out. Hey, look, it's 9:40 in the morning here, and my brain is still a little bit mush. We had a long night of baseball and football yesterday. I was caught up in the Braves versus the Mets doubleheader, and then Pete Rose died, and then we had football. So I'm a little bit light
too, man. Mutombo.
Yeah, Dikembe. Yeah. So are they gonna? Do they have coffins that big? Are they gonna have to like fold
him
him up?
You have to cut him up.
Yeah. So
not in my house.
So just
no,
not today.
No. Do you think that Eminem is going to be disappointed on the sideline again this year, up in the suites watching the Lions lose, or do you think they got a real shot at the Super Bowl?
I mean, they're definitely in the conversation. They were in the conversation last year, honestly. It's just a matter of Dan Campbell not screwing something up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like Campbell's a good coach, but he's got that like Brett Favre mentality where it's just like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, right? And like he's got to tone that down a bit, you know. And like, but I think he's learning from experience, and they're going to be in the conversation for sure by the end of the year.
So
there's two kind of Dan Campbells. There's good Dan Campbell and bad Dan Campbell. And last night we saw good Dan Campbell with that flea flicker. Bad Dan Campbell is going for it on fourth down inside your own 40. So
listen, that's how I run it in Madden, and I've got like 19 consecutive championships in Madden. So it can't be that wrong.
But you're playing a pro, man.
That's true.
Adjust the difficulty.
I did try it on All Madden, and I got demolished, and I was just like, this isn't fun. so I went back to the easy mode. But all right, so the Chiefs, they lost Rashid Rice. Frankie, is that going to be a major problem for them in their path to repeat?
It seems like nothing is a problem for the Chiefs. It just seems like no matter what issue they have, it just. I saw somebody say this comment. I wish I could say who it was, but I saw somebody say the Chiefs treat the regular season like the preseason. It's just all right. Just get everybody ready, rest up. You don't have to push it too hard. Just get the wins and then get into the postseason, and we'll be fine. They're kind of like an NBA team now. If you watch the NBA, these guys are pretty much mailing it in for the most part for 6 months, and then they ratchet it up once the playoffs start. That seems like to be the Chiefs' MO here. We know they're going to get their wins because of their talent, and they're going to make the playoffs, and it's just a matter of can they ratchet it up. I don't know if they'll be able to do that this year because winning 3 in a row is tough. It's never happened in the history of the NFL, and there have been some great teams that have gone back-to-back and haven't been able to get that three-peat. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but this is still, they're still the Chiefs. Mahomes is an enigma. He can throw a terrible interception and injure his own running back on a receiver on one play, and then he can throw an absolute bomb to Worthy on another play. It's quite Favre-esque from Mahomes here, but Chiefs are 4-0, and that's all that matters. Even though they have all these concerns, their offense isn't explosive. They're still 4-0. So you take, as Bill Parcells said, you are, but your record says you are. So that's good news for them. And also, Kelsey had his best game of the season so far, so that's good news.
Yeah, things must be going well for him and Taylor Swift. How's your girl doing?
My girl's doing well. It seems like we're waiting. I saw a source. ET, I think, yesterday said, they're still together. She's working on releasing new music. I'm sitting there like, didn't you just release a new album? Like, the woman just never stops. Like, how does woman run for president? She's just the hardest worker of them all.
I can't see her coming out with a new album anytime soon because they're still together. I mean, she requires a breakup and a heartbreak to really just shine, right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't like that.
All right, let's move on to the Jets because they broke some hearts this week. They lost 10-9. Offense was pathetic. Look, Rodgers had a interesting comment about how you could hold the offensive line accountable. He was like, that's one thing you could do is hold them accountable. Justin, do you have any thoughts on the Jets this week and on Rodgers' comments on Breece Hall? And should Jets fans be panicked?
Jets fans are always panicked. So, I mean, it's like a natural state for Jets fans. As far as the Jets go, I mean, when I did my 2-minute drill, I predicted the Jets to win this game 28-10. And I got the 10 right for Denver because I didn't think Denver was going to be able to move the ball. But I did not know that Jets were going to be this bad on offense today or that day, right? So, they looked putrid. They're Jekyll and Hyde this year, man. Like, one week they look great. It's like, oh yeah, they finally turned the corner. And then the next week it's like, nope, they're still the Jets. But it's the Aaron Rodgers thing goes back to what I said before about accountability and how he's real quick to throw someone else under the bus. Like, he doesn't really ever point the finger back to himself. I think that even when you aren't the problem and you're the quarterback, you still got to say, I got to be better. I got to play better. That's what a leadership role is. And he's really quick to say someone else is the problem, right? I mean, it's a team effort. 9 points. You're the field general. You couldn't score more than 9 points. Yeah, Greg Zuerlein missed a field goal, sure, but you're the quarterback. You need to be able to move the ball.
Do you think that they're a playoff team as of right now?
It's hard to say. That division is pretty bad that they're in. The Bills are by far the best team in that division. Dolphins had a chance before Tua went down. Patriots are going to be terrible. So they've probably got second place locked up. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to be a playoff team because the AFC is looking pretty tough overall.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Frankie?
I still think they're a playoff team. I think this game was mostly an aberration. I think their offense is still very good. I can't explain, though, what happened in this game between the offensive line being dreadful, not being able to protect Rodgers at all. Rodgers, as we mentioned, did not have a great game. Breece Hall, what did he have, like 10 carries for 4 yards? This team is really undisciplined. In like year 4 of Salah, I don't know why they're still racking up 10 penalties in one game. That's unacceptable. And if there's a thing that makes you concerned about this team going forward, it's like maybe this team doesn't have a head coach. I've never really been truly sold on Salah, and Sunday was a reminder of why. Just so undisciplined. with this team. And yeah, Zerline, I mean, despite all the problems, Zerline makes that kick, and we're all thinking, all right, well, it was an ugly win, but they got the win. Zerline misses it, and this team is 2-2, and now they face a red-hot Vikings team. So you talk about
in
the
London.
absolute in London. So, and those games are always usually oddballs. You never really know what's going to happen. No home field advantage. The people in London, do they really care about professional football here? I have no idea. But this is not, you do not want to be 2-2 going up against this Vikings team right now. So
Frankie,
it's a concern.
I gotta say, you got an awesome background. Now that we can have you full screen here, that looks like a great place to watch some football, some baseball, some Goodfellas, some Godfather. Are those Funkos in the back there?
Yes, those are my sisters. I don't usually have a lot of Funkos in my possession, but yeah, this is. Hey, folks, come on down for the Frankie baseball postseason shows. We'll have some. My mom, I'm sure she won't mind having 100 people in the house.
Nice. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Giants, because they got edged out by the Cowboys 20-15, and there's a note in here in our production notes here that says Daniel Jones can't throw the ball deep, and I got to say I concur. Do you want to take that one, Justin? How you feeling about the Giants right now? They're obviously were not predicted to do much this year, and they're not doing much.
Yeah, I mean, it results speak loudest, right? And every time he tries to get on the field, pretty much it ends in an incompletion or an interception, or getting his wide receiver knocked out, right? So, I mean, like, he's very good check down guy, very good short passing game guy. When it comes to stretching the field, he's having issues. And when you've got a Malik Neighbors, you want to be able to stretch the field. So that offense, when you have a short field like that to work with, the defense's job is so much easier, and you can't really get the ball moving as much as you'd like, because they don't have to worry about the threat deep. They can give you one-on-one coverage and send an extra blitzer, or maybe, send somebody in the middle for his, hanging out as a robber. But yeah, like, for this team, for the Giants team that they currently have, I don't think he's the right fit. That said, if he goes to a team where they've got like a killer defense, they need a game manager, a guy who can like just kind of check down and take care of the ball, maybe. But he's stretching the field is going to be so important for a team that has other glaring deficiencies.
Frankie, do you concur? And you want to talk about Neighbors' concussion there?
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't pay attention to this game for the most part on Thursday night, because this was also the night the Yankees clinched the AL East. So There was something far more happier for me to be distracted by. But in all seriousness, yeah, losing Neighbors, I think he'll be okay. I mean, right after the game, he was on Instagram saying, "Hey, I'll be fine, no problem." So, and I hate to say like, "Oh, a guy has concussion, he'll be fine," but it seems like he really, it looks like he's going to be okay. At least we hope so, because this guy is. We've talked about what a sensational receiver he is, and I thought he was going to be the favorite for Rookie of the Year, but Jaden Daniels, the way he's playing in Washington, he might have that award not locked up, but he's certainly, I think, the favorite right now. But yeah, just a difficult performance there by the Giants. I've been vocal about my opposition to Daniel Jones being the quarterback of this team. I don't know why it's still happening. It's year 6. How do you still not know how to throw a deep ball? Like, this is not fixable at this point. He can't do it. It's just so frustrating. But it's it's just a difficult situation to watch right now.
Just seems like a talent issue with Jones. It's not like he's making the like poor decision. He's just not good. Right. So at some point you just got to get somebody with a better arm in there. But
he's good enough to pass for a high completion percentage. He's getting like 250, 260 yards a game. That's in the NFL. That's tough. It's the deep passing thing has always been a problem. He had that problem at Duke as well. He never has been able to connect on deep passes. It's an accuracy thing. He underthrows a lot of balls. You just got to chuck it, man. Chuck it out there.
Was that something when he was at Duke that the Duke fans were complaining about? Because I know that you follow Duke football pretty closely. Were they back then just like, this guy can't throw the ball deep? What's up?
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating. But back then he was also throwing a lot of bubble screens, because that coach at the time loved bubble screens.
Yeah,
and like we hate that more than anything. But yeah, like the deep ball was always a problem. He was really good with his legs. He could run. After the ACL injury, he's probably a little less likely to be able to take off now, right? So having the dual threat was really his benefit, his strength. But now it's like he's a pocket passer for the most part, and he's not great at that.
All right, well, let's move on to the Bills here because they got crushed by the Baltimore Ravens 35-10. Derrick Henry running wild and lots of drop passes, trick play that led to a fumble, but they're still in good shape at 3-1. Frankie, you want to start off with the Bills?
Yeah, this game isn't to me more about the Bills, even though it was a bad loss. But I'm not willing to sit here and say, "Oh, the Bills, they're not good." Like seeing some people in the national media freak out about the Bills, I just think they ran up against a great Ravens team. And Derrick Henry, what a fantastic performance! The man is age 30, and he is pulling out a performance like that. I mean, once you saw that 87-yard run, first play the Ravens had in this game, you knew where this game was going. Lamar had a pretty good game, even though the stats don't indicate it. He was really effective all game, and he was just in total control. And yeah, the Bills, you were hoping for their sake that they'd be able to turn it around in the second half, especially with Baltimore's problem with finishing a game off, that they're not really a second half team. But yeah, that trick play made no sense. You have all this momentum. Why are you doing this stupid, like, let's hand it off to the receiver who hands it off to Allen and he fumbles the ball? Just that made no sense to me. But I think this game is more about how good Baltimore is than it is about Buffalo. I'm not concerned about Buffalo. They'll be fine. They do have a tough matchup coming up against Houston. Talk about a very difficult part of the schedule. Ravens and then Texans back-to-back, two of the 3 or 4 best teams in the AFC. But, yeah, tough loss for Buffalo in that regard. The offense not really being able to do a lot, especially Allen. It makes you maybe wonder that maybe this team can't win the big game. So if you have that concern, this was amplified. But I don't think it's too much to be concerned about. They're still a great team. They just ran up against a much better one.
Ravens now 2-2. They got off to that tough start, but they seem to be kind of rounding into form. Any thoughts on that game, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was less about how if the Bills are bad or not and how good the Ravens are. They're finally showing that this is who they're supposed to be, right? This is who the Ravens were projected to be this year. That trick play thing was not only bad because of the turnover, but also because you nearly got your starting quarterback destroyed, right?
Yes.
I mean, he almost like I was a little worried when he was on the ground. I was like, oh, he's done. But maybe he should have been in the concussion protocol. I don't know, but yeah, you don't mess around like that, especially with a team like the Ravens that's so quick to the ball. Henry, he's 30, but he's also 6'3" and like 250 or whatever, right? So I would never want to tackle Derrick Henry. That would be like a nightmare. And Taylor Rapp, he tried, bless his heart. And he
unsuccessful.
When Tua got his concussion, it was like, oh, he's because he dove into the guy, like whatever, right? Well, Taylor Rapp simply just tried to tackle Henry, and he tried to get him by the legs, and it knocked him out.
Yeah.
like Henry didn't lower his shoulder into or anything; he just was like running, right? And it's like, if an NFL player that's in peak conditioning bounces off of Henry like that and just like is concussed. Imagine what like somebody like me or you would have happen to us. We'd be like a splotch on the road.
It'd be like when you're driving and you hit one of those moths or something and it just turns into goo on the glass. That's what would happen if I got in front of an NFL running back. So all of the New York teams lost this week, unfortunately. Hopefully we can turn things around this week. Let's go through our players of the week. Shall we? I'm gonna go ahead and start things off. Baker Mayfield, 347 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. Frankie, who's your guy?
I'm gonna go with Mr. Perfect, Jared Goff, 18 for 18, 292 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown as the Lions get a big win over Seattle on Monday night.
Still so weird to see a receiving touchdown for a quarterback. All right, Justin, who's your guy?
I like big backs, and I cannot lie. Derrick Henry is the man. Nearly 200 yards rushing, rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown. I'm sure before the year is over, we're going to see a passing touchdown out of him because he was pretty good at doing that in Tennessee. This is the type of player that I thought the Ravens were getting when they got him. And this is a key part of their offense is having a back that can just like completely take over a game.
All right, so let's talk about some key matchups we got coming up. So we got Bills, Texans, we got Cowboys, Steelers. How are we looking this week with let's talk about Bills Texans first. Frankie, any thoughts on Bills Texans?
I got the Bills winning that one. I went back and forth on it, but these are two great offenses, and I just don't feel like I feel like the Bills are going to be really motivated to come out after that loss, and I think they're going to be extra special. I think they're going to be even more explosive on offense than they normally are. It's going to be a fun matchup seeing those two teams battle in the Josh Allen, C.J. Stroud, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. So that game, I don't know why that's not a 4:25 or an 8 o'clock game. It's a 1 o'clock game. I think that's a real disappointment. A game of that high caliber should be in a better spot. But I'm looking forward to seeing it, as well as all the games in Week 5.
Well, we do have baseball in the evening that day, so we get to, it might be not wanting to compete with, the prime baseball postseason games, although NFL typically has no problem drawing. Yeah. Cowboys, Steelers. Justin, who you got there?
Man, that's going to be, Dallas has had a pretty brutal schedule to start off the year. And they might be looking at another loss here. Justin Fields has been excellent in Pittsburgh. He has been, the quarterback that Chicago wished they had. Right. So I don't know that Dallas pulls this one out. I think they might fall to 2-3 here, which is going to be tough because the Commanders look like they're running away with the division at this point.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was fun talking football with you fellas. We got some interesting matchups this week. Obviously, I'm going to be dialed into baseball, so you guys are going to have to carry next week's show a little bit. But as always, all right. Thanks for watching. First live episode of the New York Football Show in the books. Reminder to like and subscribe. Helps other people find the channel. We're trying to grow here. We got like 90 subscribers or something in the first few weeks, so it's going pretty solid. I'd imagine that we'll continue to get better and the channel continue to get bigger over the next several weeks, and hopefully million subscribers by the end of the season. So
million,
maybe a billion. I mean, maybe 2 billion. I mean, I think we can get 25% of the world's population really should be watching this show.
I think that we should be able to inspire the rest of the world to get the internet.
Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, I want the people of the Congo being like, Justin Frankie, yeah, like I want them psyched for the New York Football Show. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I am loved in Congo, so that's an honor. I'm glad to reach out to the people of Congo.
They would eat you in the Congo. They would eat you alive.
They're eating the Frankies.
They're eating the Frankies.
Frankies are delicious.
All right, we'll see.